Hello, welcome back for another week. Thank you for joining me. This week's Parsha is a little crazy. First of all, because it's something that seems like a major buzzkill. The children of Israel leave Egypt. They're in the desert. They have the Torah. It's all good. Everything's amazing. They're going to the land of Israel. It's fun and games. And then boom, the children of Aaron, the high priest of Israel, the brother of Moses, die. Two of his sons just die. And everyone's like, oh, wow, what a buzzkill. I can't believe that happened. That's horrible. It's so sad. And then furthermore, the reason they died, it makes it seem like they did something wrong, like they sinned. So A, it's all good. No need to bug out. And B, it wasn't really something so bad that happened. It was something that appeared very bad. So there's a huge lesson to learn here. Of when something seemingly bad happens to us is A, don't bug out. Maybe we don't really know what's going on. Maybe there's something else going on here. And B, never judge what's happening. Something could look so horrible, as we're going to see right now. It couldn't have even looked any worse. But there's something here happening that was spiritual, that flips the whole thing around, that it was actually all good and nothing bad happened. So let's dive right in. Let's humble ourselves to the lesson that we're about to learn. It's a little longer than usual, so no peer pressure to stick along. You could always fast forward to the end. Let's get it. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, Parshat Acharei Mot, in memory of my father, Shimshon ben Shalom. Let's go. Leviticus 16:1. So Hashem spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, who died when they drew too close to the presence of Hashem. They die, everyone's bugging out. We have to investigate this happening of the death of Aaron's sons, as we find in the Torah and in the writings of the sages different statements that would seem to contradict each other. As we see below in Parshat Shmini, Leviticus 10:1. Now Aaron's sons, Nadav and Abihu, he each took his fire pan, put fire in it, and laid incense on it. They offered it before Hashem, an alien fire which had not been commanded upon them. Then right after it, it says the following, with Rashi commenting, implying that either way we look at it, there was a sin involved. Leviticus 10:2. And fire came forth from Hashem and consumed them. Thus they died at the instance of Hashem. Rashi says, and there went out a fire. Rabbi Eliezer says, the son of Aaron died only because they gave decisions on religious matters in the presence of their teacher Moses. That's why they were punished. Rabbi Ishmael says, they died because they entered the sanctuary intoxicated by wine. So either way you look at it, it seems like they were sinning. However, in light of the above, we could find in many places detailed description on how holy the sons of Aaron were, that they were on even a greater level and more exalted than Moses and Aaron themselves, as seen detailed in a full verse below. Leviticus 10:3. Then Moses said to Aaron, this is what Hashem meant by saying, through those near to me I show myself holy, and gain glory before all the people. And Aaron was silent. So right after the death, Aaron stays silent. Moses is like, something holy happened. Aaron stays silent. Rashi below brings out the explanation. Exodus 29:43. And there I will meet with the Israelites, and it shall be sanctified by my presence. So Rashi says, by my glory, for my Shekhinah shall rest there. A midrashic comment is, read not here bechvodi, by my glory, but through my honored ones. So what do we see? Moses is really saying to Aaron, Aaron, my brother, I know that according to my knowledge, the house was filled with the divine, and I thought that it must be for me or you. However, now that I see your sons are greater than me and you, Moses is like, Aaron, your sons are holier than me, they're holier than you. Everyone thinks Moses and Aaron were the top chiefs of holiness. No. Aaron's sons were holier, and this is what Moses was saying. And we can continue to see from the sages how great these two sons were. So how is it possible we can suggest they had any sin? Even bigger wonder is what's taught in the Talmud. This is crazy. Moses and Aaron were walking on their way, and Nadav and Abihu were walking behind them, and the entire Jewish people were walking behind them. Nadav said to Abihu, when will it happen that these two old men will die, and you and I will lead the generation, as we are their heirs? So they're walking behind Moses and Aaron, and they're like, yo, one of these guys gonna die. Everyone's like, whoa, super shady. Don't talk about Moses and Aaron that way. You want them to die so you can get power, so you can get money, and what kind of ego is this? How are you going to tell me that they're holier Moses and Aaron if this is the way they're talking? Let's keep diving. It gets crazier. This is just shocking, as how could such righteous people talk this way? And there is what to say to clarify the matter, and we will preface with a verse. Leviticus 10:6. And Moses said to Aaron and his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, do not bare your heads and do not rend your clothes, lest you die in anger, strike the whole community. But your kin, all the house of Israel, shall bewail the burning that Hashem has wrought. So they're like, everyone stay calm, it's not so bad. On this verse, the Yismach Moshe asks, why does the verse here say that the burning that Hashem did uses the name of God that implies the attribute of mercy? This verse should have used the name of God for divine justice and punishment, not kindness and love. So when it says the fire came and burned the sons of Aaron, it uses like the nice name of Hashem, the loving name. Anytime there's like a punishment or fire from God, the strict justice punishment name is used. So what's going on here? And I will explain with the help of heaven based on what's written in the writings of the Toldot Yaakov Yosef on the below verse. But they said, stand back, the fellow. They said, come here as an alien, and already he acts as the ruler. Now we will deal worse with you than them. This is a whole story about when Lot had guests in his house, and the community was like, no guests allowed, we're going to come and we're going to rape them and kill them. So they said, stand back. The wording above in the verse to say stand back is gash hala'ah. Gash implies closeness, and hala'ah implies distance. So it's written there that such close proximity can actually nullify one's existence. That's what we learn spiritually from this verse, which is not the same of proximity from a distance. So what does that mean? And this matter is steeped very deeply in holiness. A very deep thing we're about to learn right now. And it didn't even make sense what I said prior to that off the bat, but hear me out. That regarding coming close to holiness without a boundary, it is a very dangerous reality to be in, since someone can cease to exist. Since a person's soul has its roots within holiness from above, and when it gets close to its holy source, it desires to merge back and be nullified within its origins. And the danger here is that someone's soul doesn't depart and simply just disappears. To better understand this, there is an analogy of something leaving itself. If we place a small flame next to a great fire, instantaneously the smaller candle will join towards the bigger flame and will cancel itself out as its own reality, and it will be one fire and one great light. Similarly, this is the same with a soul, which we know is also compared to as a flame. It says the soul of man is the flame of the Lord, revealing all its innermost parts, from Proverbs. So we see if you have a little small candle flame and you put it next to a big fire, it doesn't stay independent like it's its own reality. Just boop, one big fire. So the soul comes from a greater source of God. So when it gets too close to God, boop, zoop right back in there. The soul is compared to a lit candle, and if it gets too close to its source in holiness without any boundaries, there's a danger that through this it will get nullified into its source and join the upper light. And so it's incumbent upon us to have some sort of boundary when we get close to holiness. And on this thought process, I said with the help of heaven to explain the below teaching from the sages. Sukkah 52a. Anyone who is greater than another, his evil inclination is greater than his. The greater you are, the more evil you have inside of you, or more temptation. In light of this, we have to understand how it could be possible that a righteous person is created with an evil inclination that rules over him more than other people, and that it's even bigger for him than others is a wonder. What did he do to deserve such a punishment that he was given such a large evil inclination, more than a regular guy who was on a lower level than him? But based on what we just spoke about above, this could actually make sense, and we will preface by explaining this with an analogy. This can be seen in the breakdown of a watch, which has a small wheel inside that spins very fast to tell the time. It makes it move around. However, this wheel alone won't help the watch tell the proper time without having something to counteract its speed. So a bigger wheel is put there next to it to help slow down the smaller wheel. You have like the little gears and the wheels, they're spinning each other. The bigger wheel is slowing down the smaller wheel to calibrate it. And it helps calibrate to give the proper time, and through the force of the opening wheel to the smaller one, the watch is complete and fully working to tell the proper time. And now in our manner, we can explain this to say a person is created with a spiritual part of him, which is called the good inclination, and it's always drawn after doing the will of the Creator and the desire of his Maker, Hashem. And he's attracted and drawn to run like a deer, to cling to Hashem Yitbarach with all of his actions and all of his ways, just like that small wheel on the watch is moving so fast. However, without that person having some type of opposing force to his spiritual drives to do God's will, he won't be able to remain human. This is because of the desire and draw that he's going to have towards the divine. Right away, his soul will leave him like a small flame that attaches itself to a bigger flame of the divine infinite light, may it be blessed. And his existence will cease to be, and he won't be able to remain down here in this world to serve anymore. So in order to upkeep the creation, God had to also create physicality that acts as an opposing force and pulls us in a different direction. And it stands next to and against the spiritual part of us to block us from just going up too high back towards our source. And through this, these two forces work together to make us human, who could serve the creator of the universe in this world and upkeep the commandments, because the power of the physical acts as an opposing force to our spiritual side and creates a healthy boundary to allow us to stay down here in this world and continue to fulfill the divine will of the creation according to the reality of us having a soul and body merged into one. Wow. So we see that only through having the evil inclination, which acts as a large wheel of the watch to be the opposing force to our spiritual side from going up high, through this a person can maintain existence in this world. And with this we can fully understand what the sages of Israel taught regarding that a greater man, that the greater his evil inclination. Since he is greater than his friend, his spiritual side is greater, and he has a very great light within him. And because of this, it's incumbent to have a boundary for this light via an opposing force, which manifests itself in him having a greater evil inclination. And the situation is that a human must have an evil inclination parallel to the greatness of his or her light to stay alive. And in this school of thought we can explain, in truth, Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, were very great and lofty. And as Moshe told Aaron that his two sons were greater than himself and Aaron, and that they are closer, more attached to Hashem on an elevated manner, in an aspect of being nullified from existence before Hashem every single moment. And since they were in such an exalted level, as an aspect of greater than his friend, they were left with no option but to take an action to remain down here and not cease to exist from a spiritual high. And they did what they had to do, and we saw from the teaching of the sages of Israel. And this is an aspect of their evil inclination, as we discussed, in order to pull them down to the other side. And through this, they were able to stay in this world and continue serving Hashem. However, they got too high of an exalted level. Therefore, even though they brought a foreign fire before Hashem, it didn't help them stay down here in this world. And this is why the verse above says, they came close before Hashem and died, which we could see to mean is that they were already too close to Hashem Barach, and they didn't have the strength, even after their action, to hold on to their bodies and remain down here. And with this, we can explain the words of the sages who said above the story of Nadav and Abihu that were walking behind Moses and Aaron, and they were saying, when will these two elders die? And with this, which we just established, we could see their intention was referring to the exalted level they were on, as they were feeling the massive flame within them until it came to the point where their soul was about to depart and leave their bodies due to being so high and returning to its source in the Blessed One. So therefore, they wondered regarding Moshe and Aaron. They said, when will they die? Meaning they figured, this is great. How could they, these massively holy souls like Moshe and Aaron, who are greater than us, still be alive on the face of the earth? And they aren't getting nullified from being so high. They were like, listen, we're about to die from being so high. How is Moshe and Aaron still walking around? They're much higher than us. So they weren't being like, oh, when is Moshe and Aaron going to die so we can take power? They're like, when are they going to die? We're about to die. These guys are higher than us. And on this path we are establishing, we can very well explain our question of the Yismach Moshe, one of the verses using Hashem's name that invokes divine mercy and compassion, when seemingly should have been the name of justice. Yet Aaron the priest knew very well that there was no punishment going on here. Rather, he knew that their souls left by being spiritually consumed through them, by being too attached to the source of life, blessed is his name. They simply had no opposing force anymore to keep them here. And whatever they did to create an opposing force and stay down here didn't help them. And we see that they weren't punished. Rather, their physical life force was nullified due to their exalted spiritual level, just like a small flame that gets consumed up by a bigger fire next to it. And if this is the case, there was no need for the name of Hashem invoking justice to be used here. Rather, the opposite. This was all done in mercy and kindness. And with this, we can understand the verse below. Leviticus 10:3. Then Moses said to Aaron, this is what Hashem meant by saying, through those near to me I show myself holy and gain glory before all the people. And Aaron was silent. So Aaron stayed silent. The intention of this verse isn't to teach that Aaron withheld from complaining about the decree. He wasn't silent because he was like, oh, I want to bug out and stay silent. No. That's what everyone thinks, because that wouldn't add anything. And it's of no exalted level to stay quiet when misfortune happens. Rather, it's the opposite. When something bad happens, he says in the Gemara, one's obligated to recite a blessing for the bad that befalls him, just as he recites a blessing for the good that befalls him. If this really was bad, Aaron should have spoken up. But he was silent, it means it wasn't bad. Boom. So if this was a bad thing, his son's dying, there would be no room for Aaron to stay quiet. Rather, the intention here is based on what we wrote, that Aaron knew they were on an exalted level. Therefore, he stayed silent because he knew very well that there was no punishment or decree. Rather, their souls simply were consumed in their source in Hashem. And Moshe of blessed memory said to him, "Those close to me I will sanctify," that they simply got too high of a level. And this is why it's really important not to bug out when people die, because wherever they're going, we're going there too. It's the same train station, different stop. They're a few stops ahead of us. We're heading there. When someone dies or passes away, it's really painful, yes, but it's okay. Aaron stayed silent, not because he was trying to stop himself from bugging out, because he knew wherever they were going, it's all good, and he's on his way there. So while we're down here in this world, just try our best, stay positive, stay strong as we can. Don't take anything too serious. Don't think things are negative so quick. Don't think things are unfortunate. Just stay humble. Everything is for the good. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, you got to bless it like it's the good. So everyone just, Shabbat Shalom, drink a little wine, stay humble, send love to everyone that needs it. Over and out.